In the military, blast radius is how far the damage spreads from an explosion. In DBT, it's how far the damage spreads from you. And look, we've all been there. You rename a column, the build passes, you move on. 2 days later, someone from finance pings you on Slack asking why the revenue dashboard has been broken since Tuesday. You're now a cautionary Slack message. Today I'm going to show you how Altimate Code maps the full blast radius of a change before you touch anything in production. So you know exactly what will break, what's safe, and what needs to be fixed first. One prompt, no surprises. Let's dive in and take a look at how Altimate Code solves this for us. All right, so we're in Cursor here using Altimate Code, as you can see from the screen, and we're going to start off with this prompt of rename the column total cents to gross revenue cents and staging underscore orders as the finance team wants to align with gap terminologies. Before performing the changes, show them the blast radius of the change, excuse me. There we go. So let's send this off. So while this is running and while our Altimate Code is taking a look and see what's going on, like what the blast radius of this change would be. And again, as I mentioned in the intro, like this is a small change. This is a single column, a single column name changed, and you're going to see how much stuff can actually be messed up with that single column change. And you know, for me, back whenever I was doing data, like when I was a data scientist, I would change a column name all the time. Like I wouldn't even think about it, right? If my boss was like, "Hey, Steven, go change this," I would just go change it. And so it's good to know, what could happen here if we change a column name. While this is running, you can see it's running on our screen here. I do want to take a note of a few cool features of Altimate Code. Is down here on the bottom, we have 3 agents for you. So we have Builder, which also allows some permissions. We have Builder, we have Analyst, and we have Plan. And so I'm using Builder here because we are going to build and actually make this change into this video. So Builder has access to like do any sort of changes that it wants, build new files, so on and so forth there. However, it cannot remove files. So it will never remove a file without asking you. Even if you give it permission once, it will still ask you every single time before it deletes something. We have Analyst as well. So Analyst allows you to use like the Altimate Code skills that we have a blog post about. You should definitely go check it out. Written by someone you might know. But definitely go check it out. So Analyst can use the skills and the tools that we have, but it cannot actually write into any files. And then Plan is our, the least powerful of our agents, where it can just create plans for you. It can't use any skills. It can't write anything. It's simply for planning something out, which obviously really important stuff there to build a nice plan before you just let your agent go to work. And last but not least, we have here where you can actually select your LLM that you want to use. So if you want to bring in your own LLM, called BYOLLM, you can bring in your own Anthropic account. You can bring your own OpenAI account, a bunch of other LLM providers as well. But I'm using the Ultimate LLM gateway that actually allows you to. We actually just create one account with us at Ultimate, and we actually will route your prompts to different models inside of Anthropic and OpenAI's ecosystem to make sure that you're getting the most efficient run of your prompt that you could get versus having to manage which one you're picking as well. So definitely worth checking out. So while this finishes up running, I'll let it finish up, and then we'll pop back in and talk about what happens. All right, so we finished up running here. Just some things I really love about the workflow here inside of Altimate Code. Just first off, it gives us a to-do list. And listen, I don't know about you, but I am someone who loves checking off the to-do list. Ultimate Code does as well. So just letting you know what it's building, so it isn't just working in a black box. You know what it's building as it's building it. And of course, you can click through all of these and see what it's doing. But what I want to come down here is look at some of these specific skills. So impact analysis, for example, is a skill that is made to look at what we're looking at right here. So impact analysis, you can see if I click into it, there's the information that we're going to get in just a few minutes, but it's actually showing us here is the impact analysis of renaming that, which is really great to see. We have our DBT lineage. It's checking lineage, which is really, really important in blast radius analysis, as you know. So we're using DBT lineage a lot. And then, of course, now we're to our report here. So our blast radius report for renaming this column. And so you can see impacted models, 5 of 22, impacted semantic models, and impact our downstream metrics as well. So direct downstream and then transitive downstream. So let's take a look and see what we have here. So here's the rename. So from total cents to gross revenue cents in staging order. So the raw source column remains unchanged while the staging column changes. So we have our direct impact here. So if we change this, it's going to break because the exposed column name changes. So that's pretty obvious there. Under intermediate order enriched, you can see, what the current reference is and what we'd update it to, and it's breaking if it's not updated. So intermediate customer lifetime model is going to break if it's not updated. And then let's see. So for return analysis, so this model directly refers to that staging orders table. but it does not actually reference total sense. So the column rename is likely safe from this output. And I think that's really important. So if I was doing blast radius of my own, what I would do is I would go through every single model, and I would look and see, hey, what downstream models reference this table? Like what actually references staging orders? And like that's where I build my blast radius models and then I would go in and make sure that they actually either are going to break it or aren't going to break it. And so what we're seeing here on Mart return analysis is like it should be a part of this report, right? Like because it does reference that staging order table. But we're saying it's probably not going to cause any issues because it doesn't actually pull in. It's not calling that column directly. It's doing a select star there. So it should still be safe there when you're building that out. So transitive impact. So because lifetime revenue sense is derived from total sense, it has a cascade impact. But it should remain safe if we update that intermediate customer lifetime, which was above. So it's good to know there. So Mark Customer 360 also uses that. So again, it has another cascade impact, but it should be safe if intermediate customer lifetime is updated correctly as well. And then last but not least, we have a semantic layer impact, which I think is really important here. So total sense appears in total revenue sense and average order value sense, which means that we definitely need to update that. Because this semantic model is what you're going to be building your dashboards and some of your analytics models downstream. And if we break this semantic model, it's then going to break all the things that you built on top of it as well. So it's really good information here on the semantic layer to make sure that, hey, it's not just your not just your SQL and DBT models that could break. It's also your dashboards. It's also the things that you're delivering to your stakeholders, the things that your boss depends on. It's really great to catch a break before it actually happens, right? So good to know there. So. And of course, we also have YAML documentation impact. So obviously, you need to rename these columns in the tables that it was used as well. So let's see. So coming down here, so it has a recommended change set here. So if you approve, I'll update these columns, and then it's going to validate that. So now I'm going to say, yes, please proceed with the rename. Okay. So the fact that it's going to rename those columns to fix it based on the problems that it found before, and then it's going to validate it with a DBT build with those specific models, which I think, again, another really great thing here that's happening is like I would just run a DBT build overall, and it would just rebuild the whole project, which would waste you some money. So it's actually building these specific models that are changing to make sure that nothing's going to break with the things that we're specifically changing to test this out. So we will let Ultimate Code make these changes, and then we'll pop back in to see the changes being actually applied. All right, so Ultimate Code's done applying these changes and validating them. So you can see files updated. So we changed just an alias here. Changed the name and state in this YAML file. We updated how it's referenced in intermediate models as well. Obviously, and changing this aggregation, which is really important as well. And of course, updating the semantic model as well. We did some validations as well. So we did our DBT build on that model, the staging orders, and then everything downstream of it as well, which is really great. So rebuilt all of the things that were dependent on that staging orders. That makes sure that nothing is going to break based on this change at this point, which is great. And then we did we also did a full project build as well, just to make 100% sure. And of course, you can see our summary here is that we had 36 models passed and 0 failed, which it's 100%. It's pretty good. So that means that we're in good shape there. And of course, we have output checks. So we had confirm that staging orders now exposes gross revenue sense, as you can see here. And then we have validated row counts and value range as well. So we have our row count of 1,000, and then our non-null gross revenue count at 1,000 as well. So all good stuff there. And we did a min and max just to make sure that they're not all zeros or something like that. So making sure that we get actual values that make sense for this is great as well. Then we had sample rows as well, also returned expected values there as well. And then our column lineage, also and intermediate customer lifetime also checks out here, right? So what I think is really important in Ultimate Code here is that we found the blast radius, we made the change, but then not only did we do all that, but we used what we found that blast radius to then go through and basically validate what we changed, which is so powerful, right? Because sometimes your blast radius might miss something. Sometimes you just trust your blast radius and don't validate it afterwards, right? Not saying I would do that, but sometimes I get a little lazy on the validation steps, right? Hopefully I'm not the only one out there. But what Ultimate Code is doing is actually validating that on the back end for you after running it, just to make 100,000% sure that the blast radius did not miss anything and everything's running successfully. So the next time you're about to rename a column, change a formula, or touch anything that other people's dashboards depend on, maybe don't just hope for the best. Run the blast radius first and know it's in the way before you start swinging. No more cautionary Slack messages, at least not about this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see more agentic AI use cases in data, and we'll see you next time.